guys, I'm Nicolle. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm finally gonna do the answers for my Q&A video. So let's get started. Okay, so the first question is, just found your latest video, great idea, thank you. My question, I have a beginner boron from Walden. It doesn't sound anything like yours. Should I get a different instrument? What type of drum are you playing? And do you wet the skin before playing? Thanks very much. So, I think I've seen Walden borons before, like in kind of like the Irish music shops in Ireland, but I've never really played one before. I don't think I really have. And I think your question, should I get another drum? I think that depends on where you're trying to go with your playing. So if you're kind of just, you know, kind of beginner and just kind of doing it for yourself, and you know, you don't really want to invest in a drum which might be a little quite a bit more expensive than something that you find in like just a normal shop, I think then you're okay, you know, like, I mean, it really depends on your goal and what you're trying to achieve. I will say this though, playing like a beginner instrument will give you some limitations, and I think it's because you can only do so much with it. Even if you're an amazing player, you can only do so much with a beginner instrument, that being any instrument, fiddle, box, anything. If it's like really beginner, you can't really kind of explore some of the sounds that it might have, or it won't like really push you that much because you have a limited sound range or a limited thing that you can do. So if your goal is to keep improving and to kind of challenge yourself and to play with people in sessions and things like that, I would suggest maybe looking into something else. And for borons, I would recommend that you do go directly to a maker, and there are many makers out there, you know, some living in the US, some living in Germany, some living in Ireland, some, you know, so I think if you can do a little bit of research into what you want, and now with YouTube there's so many videos kind of telling you, you know, I'm playing this drum from this maker and this is what it sounds like, and then you can kind of make your own decision of what you want to play. But definitely, if you want to keep improving, there will come a point that you will have to get a better instrument. That's my opinion. And then what instrument do I play? I will link a video, I will put a link down below of a video that I made of the drum that I play, and it has all the information and links to websites and everything like that. So I will make sure to do that. And then the last question, I think it was if I wet the skin. I don't really need to. I think I've only done it maybe 5 times in like 4 years, and that's because the weather was like really harsh, or I had to play outside for the Ram Boys or something like that, that it was like that I kind of had to do. But with tunable borons, you don't have to. Unless it's non-tunable or it's an older drum, then you will have to. But personally, I don't, because I don't have to. So, thank you. The next question is, my music sounds like the tipper is scraping the head rather than hitting it. What can I try? Okay, so there's a couple of things to keep in mind with this. One can be the actual skin that you have. So if you get your boron and just with your hand like touch the skin, mine is really smooth, like it's kind of almost like touching the wood up here. It's completely smooth. I mean, there's some little rough areas there, but that's because I've been hitting it for a long time. But you know, it's really soft from the inside and from the outside. So some skins will be a lot thicker. It just depends on your maker and, you know, how they treat the skin and the type of skin that you have. You know, now there's like kangaroo skins out there and stuff like that. So if your skin is really thick and really harsh, then a lot of that, you know, that's also gonna affect the sound that comes out. So you might be hitting it the right way, but it's just the skin, you know. Another thing that you can do is, if you have that problem because the skin is really tough, really thick, then try with different tippers. Maybe you'll find one that will make it not sound as scratchy, you know. And then the third thing that I would say is that it's your actual way of playing. So if you are, when you're doing your downbeats and stuff, if you're very like close to this, look, can you hear that? It's like, because I am actually scraping when I'm playing. So you can have that kind of sound. Now, if that's happening, it's because one, you're scraping, and then instead of hitting, so you have to hit, like imagine that you have a C backwards, like you're drawing it backwards. So it's like you're gonna go in and out, but you're actually hitting, not scraping. Yeah. And then the other thing is, mind your angle as well, because if you're super close to this, if you're like very parallel to the skin, even if you're hitting, you will still get that sound. So if the tipper, if you have it kind of like, you know, maybe like 40-degree angle, not too much, because then you're gonna start playing like this, right? But if you have like a 45-degree angle, and then you're really attacking by going in and out, then that's gonna take that scratchiness away. Yeah, so I think it's skin type, tipper, angle, and actually scratching it, not going deep. I hope that answers your question. The next question is, what brings you to the mood where you are playing for the joy of playing and nothing else? That is actually a really good question, and I think it's a little bit tricky too, because I've been involved in music since I was very little, but I've started going into classes and becoming involved in like musical theater and classical music and choirs and stuff like that since I was around 12, you know, and I started performing maybe around 13 or so. And then I went to Ireland and I started studying at the University of Limerick, and that's where I started playing Irish music. So I've been involved in music for a really long time. So if I don't have music in my life, it feels like I'm lacking something, or there's something missing. There's like a really big hole. It's like I have to create and I have to make music, especially if I get to make music with people, you know, if it be musical theater or choir or anything like that. I just like that community of making music and creating something that is just coming from your mind and from your heart, like kind of like inside out, you know. So for me, it's kind of, I play it because it makes me feel good, and I like, it's like it connects me to myself and to other people, you know. So in that regard, I play because it's almost like I have to, but it's because I really want to play. And you know, sometimes I feel like playing Boron, and sometimes I don't feel like playing Boron, but I will, I don't know, sing, or I will play my accordion, or I will, I don't know, like start singing musical theater music that I used to sing when I was like a teenager, or I have a piano and I start, you know, I'm not a pianist, but I can, you know, I like piano playing, and I'll try to play and learn a few things. So music is always in my life that way. If you mean that the joy of playing without getting your head too involved in trying to find like the end result, then that's something different. And I think that everybody struggles with that, because you see with, I don't know, role models that you have in your musical life, or somebody who inspires you to play, you see the end result of what could be, I suppose. and sometimes it is hard to be patient with yourself and to be just enjoying playing in the moment without really caring how fast you get to that goal or the end, you know. I think there's a really cool talk by Alan Watts on YouTube, if you want to find it, and it's like the journey, and he talks about how music, it's like, and dancing for example, is about the journey and not the end point. You know, he said, like, you know, if the whole purpose of music was the end, then there will be compositions only for finales, and you know, you would go to a concert and just listen to one chord, you know. So the point of music is the music itself is the journey. The point of dancing is the dance, he says. So I know it's easier said than done, you know, but if you kind of, I think, become in love with playing and practicing because it brings you a self of peace, or it's your time instead of maybe watching TV or something. If it's your time with yourself, then I think it will be a lot better, because you're enjoying the process of learning rather than just wanting to get there really quickly. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I hope I answered your question. How often do you practice? Example, 1 hour a day or more. So when I was at the University of Limerick, I used to practice quite a lot, you know, especially when I just started playing bodhrán. Because of where I was, and I was lucky enough, I was very fortunate enough to have this opportunity where I was in a building that its whole purpose of the building was to create and to learn. And I was surrounded by creativity and people making music and dancing and teaching about these things all around me. And my sole purpose pretty much for my 4 years in college was to learn and to play. So I would, you know, like book a room, and I would take snacks with me, and I would go in there, and I would just sometimes stay there for like 3 hours, you know, and I would play bodhrán and sing and play box, and you know, I didn't have anything to worry about pretty much. That was it, just playing and creating. So I would also go to a lot of Irish music festivals. I would go to festivals pretty much like every other weekend, you know, at least once or twice a month. So that, you know, also helped me put my practice into practice, if that makes sense. And I also had the thing that because it was my purpose or whatever, you know, I had to have my rhythms learned or my tunes learned or my essay written by the next week, because there was a teacher expecting that as well. So that also, there's a little bit of pressure and performances and things like that kind of keeps the momentum going. But I found that now that I'm finished with college and, you know, I have to work and I have all these things and other responsibilities that weren't there before, sometimes I do find it a little bit harder to do. But I have learned that you have to make time, because most of the time there won't be time, you know, or you always kind of give yourself little excuses of I don't have time. But when you start thinking of I am going to make time, then you do make time, you know. But back to your question, I don't practice now as much as I used to when I started, and I know that I should challenge myself more to learn things that out of my comfort zone, maybe different time signatures and stuff like that. And I am getting better at that, but it is something that you have to continuously be working at, you know. I don't practice as much. I do sometimes, like I said, I am getting better, but I do perform quite a lot, and attend sessions and host sessions, so that keeps me playing, you know. And sometimes I also do videos for you guys, which keeps me thinking how I can translate what I do into something that you guys can hopefully understand. But I would suggest, if you don't have, I mean, an hour a day is great if you can do that, you know. But if you don't have the time, you know, I would suggest to just leave your bar on like this, somewhere where you can see it, so then you can just pick it up and, you know, just play a few rhythms or a few things, and then put it down and, you know, wash the dishes or take the kids to soccer or something like that, and then come back and just play a bit more, just so that you can see it and you'll be more motivated to practice. But definitely, you know, 15 minutes a day, it's better than no practice at all. So obviously the more you practice, the more practice time you have. But always be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself. The next question is, do you prefer a tunable boron or not? And why? And which size suits you the most? So do you prefer a tunable boron? Yes, definitely. Yes, 100% yes. And that is, I think it kind of relates to the one of the first questions, that I don't have to wet it. It's like I have more control of the sound. I can make it higher by tightening the skin, or I can make it lower by loosening the skin. So if you don't have that, then you don't really have a lot of control with your boron, because you have to have water, and then if you put too much, you might get really good at it though, and you might not need to have a tunable boron. But for me, just the tone and the skin is like a completely different ball game pretty much for me. But I think at the end is personal preference and what sounds good to you and what sounds good with what you're listening to, like the sessions, the instruments, everything counts. And it also how good you are in making the sound, like controlling the sound, if it's not a tunable boron, you know. And then it says, and why? That's why. Which size suits you the most? I think this is a 15-inch. I think again, I'm gonna link the video in the description box so that you can go ahead and because I can't remember, I think it is 15. I think I'm gonna get another boron and pretty soon, and I think that might be maybe 14 inches. I want to experiment with having a slightly smaller boron, but I definitely wouldn't go any bigger because I'm very short. So I don't have very long arms, so if it's very deep or very big, it's too bulky and it's too hard then to play. So yeah, I will link the video for you. Thanks for your helpful videos. My question, do you prefer Carrie or top end style playing, and why? So the Carrie style, especially when you talk about triplets, they mean double-ended. So when you're doing a triplet, you do both of the ends. And top-ended or single-ended is when you use only, you know, a single end. But I don't specifically think that I don't prefer one or the other. I think it's just I learned how to do the double-ended before the single-ended. But to me they sound so different too, you know? It sounds so different. So I use both. I like using both. And it just depends on the tune, the instrument, the style, the speed, everything, you know, like it just depends what I'm listening to, and then I can kind of, you know, internalize it. I said, oh, a single-ended triplet would sound amazing here, or double-ended. I think I like double-ended more, you know. So I definitely triplet wise, I use both of them, but I will say that I use the double-ended more because that's the first thing I learned. So it's easier for me to do double-ended as of right now. But I am getting better in my single-ended triplets, you know. And if you mean then like the playing style, I don't really know what to classify myself in, to be completely honest with you, because you know I'm able to play with more traditional players, kind of, you know, but it's still not very traditional, you know. I learned like I had some wonderful meetings with Johnny McDonough in Galway when I was first starting. I think I was in first year, and I went over to Galway because my teacher Jim Higgins had talked to Ringo, or Johnny Ringo McDonough, you know, if you know him or of him. And I went over and we had a cup of tea and he was showing me and teaching me, and it was just amazing. And every time I would go to Galway, he always made room for me, you know. I would come in with my bar on. He's like, he would be like, "Do you have your bar on? Come." And he would move and he would let me sit right next to him, and he would, you know, encourage me to play, like for us to play together. So I listened to the way he plays, and he was absolutely incredible. So I learned so much from him, you know. But I've also learned things from, for example, John Joe Kelly, and I've also had, you know, meetings with him and sitting in his kitchen and having cups of tea and just learning and soaking everything that he could give me. So I see beauty in both of them, and I don't really know where. Maybe you guys can tell me more, because I don't necessarily know what box I fit in. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't fit in a box, you know. So yeah, I think I use both to answer your question. Hi Nicole, I'm getting the 14. I am not sure how to say this. I'm sorry. Meinl, M-E-I-N-L, Irish boron. What do you think of its sound? I've no clue. I don't. Maybe I have seen them before, but I never knew of the make. I'm not exactly sure what drum it is. I am sorry about that. I wouldn't be able to tell you, you know. Maybe you can find like a YouTube review from somebody else playing that drum, so you can get like a better idea of its sound. And then you say, also, do you think I can apply shea butter on the head? I have never heard of anybody applying shea butter, or butter really, of any kind of oil or anything like that. I never had to. I would suggest that you speak with the maker of the drum you're getting and you ask them personally, or via email, or the company, or whoever you're getting it from, because I would think that you don't have to, and I wouldn't recommend you doing so, because I think the pores and stuff of the skin, I think it might actually damage the skin, because they are already treated, you know, like the drums now, the skin is treated. So I would say that you don't have to, but again, sorry guys, my battery died. As I was saying, I would check with the maker or the company, just make sure it's okay to put shea butter or oil on your boron skin. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. So the next question is, hi Nicole, we met at Kraken a few years ago. Hi Alejandro. I thought I'd go every year after that, but it was a bit expensive and I've never been since. I would like to ask, apart from meeting great people, which I loved, do you see an advantage of going every year? As in, are the things taught in the lessons very different from year to year? Thank you for your lessons, they're very helpful. Well, thank you. So for those of you who don't know, Kraken is a week-long festival that happens in Inisheer, which is an island off of Ireland, and people from all over the world come to that festival, and some of the best players teach at that school. My own teacher, Jim Higgins, I think has been teaching there for a couple of years now. So I've only been to the festival twice, and the first time it was kind of more about like kind of meeting people and kind of visiting the island because I'd never been, and I did get to play in a concert, and that was a lot of fun. The second time that I was there, I think it was maybe a year after that, I think, and I did go for lessons, and it was a lot of fun. I got to meet so many people that I'm still friends with, so it was a really cool experience. So to get back to your question, I wouldn't be able to answer it personally because I've only been there once myself. I'm pretty sure there's always something new to learn, and I know that the teachers who teach there really love teaching and sharing what they know. And you know, as with everything, I've heard different reviews. Some people have been there going for a long time. Some people went for a couple of years, but they've stopped going and they go to something else. And some people, maybe it wasn't their cup of tea. So I think it just depends on personal experience. So yeah, maybe if you guys have been to the festival for a few years, maybe you can comment down below to help Alejandro and to give him a little bit more information of what it's like to go for a couple of years. Okay, so the next question is, hi Nicolle, really love your style. Thanks for your videos so much. Thank you so much. My question, what kind of stuff do you use to record yourself? Bass sounds great with earphones. So I'm using the Canon Rebel T7i, and then I have a microphone that you kind of just screw at the top, and that's the, I think it's Rode or Rode, R-O-D-E, and I think it's an Australian microphone. I will put a link to the product so you guys can check them out if you're interested. And I'm also starting using a ring light now, and I was wondering if you guys see any difference. How do you like me using the light? Okay, and then I have another question. Do you come from Galicia? No, I don't. I'm actually from Mexico City. I lived there until I was 12, and then I moved to the United States. I then moved to Ireland to finish my last year of high school, and now I'm back in the US. I purchased the same boron as you, and I wonder if there is anything special I need to do to maintain the skin. Like I mentioned before, I don't really do anything for the skin to treat it. I don't put any oils, or I don't even really put water or anything like that unless I absolutely have to, which is very, very, very rare. The one thing that I do or I'm conscious about is when you go on a plane, on an airplane, I usually loosen the skin all the way till it's like floppy. So just loosen all the, I mean, you can do it this way if you like, kind of crossing. Just loosen all of it because of the air pressure. Something might happen to the drum. But I've been to planes where before I didn't know about it, or that I would forget to do it, and nothing has happened to it. But I think it's just one of the things that I do as a precaution for my drum. Also, on your video where you share what tippers you use, I want very much to learn the rhythm you demonstrated at time marker 4:02. It sounds great and I would like some help with it. Very happy you are starting a Q&A, and I look forward to tuning in. Thank you so much. So actually I am going to be doing that groove for you at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. What is a rhythm or groove you thought you'd never be able to play? I think I had quite a lot of those when I first started, and maybe I still have a few that I would like to be able to do, but I don't think I ever thought that I would never be able to play it. I just thought that they were pretty hard, and I kind of wanted to be able to do it like my friends did, you know? And one of those things was single-ended triplets, because I learned how to do double-ended first. So it took me a while to figure out that I actually had to sit down with a metronome and slow it down, like really slow everything down, so that then I can start speeding it up and then put it into context. So definitely single-ended triplets. And then I think I also had, because I never really experienced it, different time signatures like 7/8 or 5/8 and things like that. I thought that was like, whoa, it was like a different ball game altogether, being able to play that. And that took me a little bit of time, and having friends who would like to play those kinds of tunes like at sessions, that made me kind of more confident. And you know, they were very encouraging and supportive, and I could play tunes with them and learn from, you know, like a bouzouki friend of mine, and just soak everything in that I could. But yeah, certainly like different time signatures and single-ended triplets were the hardest things, I think, for me. Also, who do you perform with and what do you enjoy most about it? That is a really fun question for me, because I'm in a new band. Yay! It's called Run with the Hair, and we've only just started really, and we are in the process of making an album. So we're almost done with the album. I think what I love most about it is that we are a really solid group. And by that, I mean that we are very open with each other, and we are very encouraging, and our communication is really good. So, you know, when you're making an album, there's a lot of ideas and a lot of opinions in one room. But it's been so much fun to make an album with these guys, because everybody's like, oh, I have an idea, or why don't we do this, or why don't we do that, or I like it, maybe we could do. So everybody has, like, I don't know, everybody's communicating really well with each other, and that just makes it so much fun, because nobody's butting heads, you know. So I think that's one of the most fun things for me, apart from obviously making music and perform for people. So I will link our website and our YouTube channel down below, so you guys can check it out. Maybe give us a few thumbs up. So for my last question, I think this is so cute. My brother posted on Instagram in one of my stories. By the way, I would put a link down below so you guys can check it out if you want. And his question is, when are you visiting us? Isn't that so cute? I'm gonna be there in January. He lives in Canada, so we're gonna go and maybe do some skiing or something like that. I thought that was really cute. Thank you. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I absolutely loved answering your questions, because it just makes it more real for me and just makes me connect more with you. I had a really good time doing it. Maybe we could do it again, and maybe we can do a live video soon. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and stay tuned for that group. Bye! So I heard the rhythm on my tipper video, and I hope it's this one. So the way I do that is I do a basic real groove, emphasizing on the 3, and then I do a roll, which a roll is a triplet and another beat, so it's a 4-beat ornamentation. So I'm gonna teach you how to do the reel, then the roll, and then we'll put them together at the end. So to make the reel, you want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you're gonna do you're gonna put your hand on the middle to do 1, 2, and then you're gonna go 3, 4 for your pop. And usually I do 1, 2, and then I move my hand and I kind of pinch at the top to make a pop sound. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do it slower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, Now what you want to do is you want to emphasize the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Faster. 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 So that's your basic reel groove. Then to do a roll, you want to do down, up, down, which is your triplet, 1, 2, 3, but then you want to add an extra beat, and it's going to be an upbeat. So it's going to be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And you can do it slow at first, but then you're going to have to speed it up so that it kind of fits into that roll. So down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Faster. 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, triple it up, triple it up, triple it up, triple it up. Now to put it together, you want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, triple it up, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, triple it up, 3, 4. So there's a pause after your roll, a pause, and then you do the 3, 4. So I'm gonna do it way slower than that. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, triple it up, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, triple it up, 3, 4. A little faster. So you're doing the roll after the 4th 3, 4. So you, after the 4th 1, 2, sorry. So if I do it faster, it's gonna be 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna do it even faster than that. What I'm doing also is when I'm doing the roll, I am pressing on the skin more so that you can hear it's really punchy. So don't forget that. So it's gonna be down, up, down, up, down,